Thank you very much for being here
Yeah,
again
my
with
pleasure.
me. Since you're here presenting the new 4K version of The Raid, how do you describe the process of going 4K for your movie?
So I was skeptical at first because we shot the film in HD, right? So at first I was very kind of like worried and skeptical about whether you could upscale something from a HD source to 4K and it would look good. But then the guys at Cinematic Post, which is the company in Wales that I work with a lot for like color and for sound, because they are much far more skilled people than I am in terms of understanding all the technological side of things. They walked me through the process of like this amazing algorithm that takes into account the camera model that was used and the sort of the film format, the shooting format, and then upscales it using bits of AI to kind of like to properly upscale the image then into 4K resolution. So that was great, and the results looked fantastic on it. But then what was great about it was that we went back to the original source material, so the pre-graded footage, so as it came out the camera. So it was the best possible, source material that we would have. And it allowed me then to kind of go back and redo all the color grade from scratch with the guys at Cinematic again. So Matt Mullins, the colorist, did a fantastic job where it was much closer to what me and Matt Flannery, the DP, had in mind when we first started working on it. Problem was that when we first started working on it, I was very inexperienced as a filmmaker, and I think I fucked up a little bit in terms of the color, in terms of like the direction I took it in, and so it never really looked right. And I know Matt Flannery, who was the DP, was never happy with the look of the film, so it's been lovely to be able to go back into it, fix things, not change the frame of the edit. The edit is exactly the same. We've not messed around with it in that, but just make it look and feel much more like what we originally intended the film to look like.
And was he involved too in the process of the 4K?
We would send stuff back and forth to Matt so he could see what we were up to. But obviously Matt's based in LA, so we were based in the UK then. So yeah, we started doing it based on that.
And watching The Raid again and again.
Yeah.
But in this new light, did it change something in your vision, in your, watching it with the new colors, and was kind of a new experience for you, or was just the same movie you already know?
It was fun to kind of go back, because I have this weird thing where it's hard for me to separate myself from the artifice of the film. So when an audience watches a film, like when I watch a film that somebody else directs, I will immediately buy into that world and I will believe every bit of it. But whenever I watch something of my own, I can see day 1, day 2, day 3 of the shoot. I know what went wrong, what was missing from, what didn't go well, what were the challenges we faced, and how stressed was I on this day, or how good did I feel on another day. So I can't watch the film objectively, because I just have this full knowledge of what went into the making of it. So for me, I can see all the little seams and all the cracks and everything else. But what is great with the color is that we were able to. I think the problem with the previous color was it was kind of this flat, washed out magenta and blue tone across the film, where skin tones weren't right, and every floor, every bit of the set design kind of looked the same. So it didn't matter whether you were inside a room or a corridor or a stairwell or another room, they all kind of looked the same. And so what we were able to do with the new grade was to kind of like to enhance what was in the camera footage from the beginning, create a grittier, grimier, more horror style version of the film than we had previous. So I actually think it works a lot better now and looks a lot closer to what we wanted for it. But it's been fun to go back and learn. The only thing I would say is that that thing I said earlier about I stuck by this rule of not changing a frame of it. But going back to it after 11 years and rewatching it, there's a lot of scenes in there where I was frustrated, sort of like sitting on my hands, I really wanted to go in and cut some stuff out. Nothing like a scene or anything, but just more tightening the dialogue in the way that I would now that I didn't back then. So I watch it now and I'm thinking I could probably easily shave off about 3 or 4 minutes maybe of footage from the film and you wouldn't notice, but it would be a much streamlined version of a faster paced movie. Conversations feel a little bit slow in places, so that's the thing I've learned from revisiting it after all this time.
It comes with the experience.
100%.
Or at the time you felt the same?
At the time, I mean, like it's that thing. I think like every film I've worked on, it's like you reach a point where you have to let it go. You have to almost say, there's the thing where you say like, oh, every film ends up being abandoned at some point. Because you could continue to just work on something over and over and over again, and then nobody ends up seeing it. So at a certain point, you do have to put the tools down and then let it exist and be a thing. So it's more that as opposed to anything else.
So no director's cut coming up.
Nah. It was fine. I was always happy with the cut of it.
Did you have the final cut on the movie?
Yeah, the stuff I did out in Indonesia, I always had final cut on.
Okay, I guess. But
Gets harder now, but yeah.
Maybe for the length. Mainly.
No, I think the Raid 1 was quite short, because the Raid 1 was like, we were almost done within an hour 43, hour 44, I think it is. But with the Raid 2, that was me being really self-indulgent. That, I think when I look back on the Raid 2, because I rewatched that recently as well, and I was like, oh, I could probably shave 15 minutes out of the Raid 2. Maybe more than that out of the Raid 2. I think that could be a much faster movie, but yeah. Dialogue and probably... Yeah, mostly dialogue stuff. I think there's a lot in there. I think with the Raid 2, weirdly, because I love Yayan so much, I give an awful lot of real estate to his character, and I think I didn't really need to know as much about his character. I could have easily have introduced him, and then got straight to the nightclub instead of doing there's that whole sequence where he fights one-handed with a bunch of guys. Great sequence, but it's not about story. It's not about plot. It's just a sequence. It's me showing Yayan off. I could have easily have just been straight to the nightclub and he gets betrayed by Ucho and then dies. But yeah, there was like 2 or 3 scenes or 4 scenes almost of stuff with him because I just love the guy so much. So I probably, in retrospect, could have shaved it off, which is painful to admit because I think Aaron from XYZ Films, who I love dearly, kept giving me the note. And I hate doing this now because, if I'm honest with you, I think he was right. But let's not tell him that.
No, cut from. So, back to the Raid. You said you have wonderful experience on the set and less wonderful experience on the set.
Yeah.
Could you remember one in particular of those? One good moment and one bad moment?
Ooh, okay. The bad moments are tricky because it feels like you're talking about things that shouldn't be talked about. But,
okay.
Yeah, it's just the stress of shooting. It's like great moments are when things go really well. Great moments are when we are setting up to do that shot when Iko jumps through the hole in the floor and the camera follows in through him, through the hole in the floor and continues into a sequence. And the fact that we got that in camera without any cuts was a real exciting moment. We didn't know if we had it. We did about 9 takes at it, and I think on our 10th take that was going to be our last attempt at it. And I remember not being 100% certain we had it, because obviously we had one DOP holding the camera up above, who would then drop to his stomach and hold the camera, push it through the hole in the floor, and then another camera in the second floor waiting for it to come through the hole so he could grab it and continue to operate. And it was like Dimas passing it through to Matt, who was waiting below. And so when we knew we had that shot, it was like you get these little pockets of like adrenaline rush. Everyone's like, oh my god, we got it. That shot that was really difficult, we managed to succeed, we managed to get it. So those are great moments. Less so great moments is when, okay, so I won't give a specific example, but it'll be like the less great moments are when you think you've got a shot and you've been working, you're working hard to get it there, and everyone's kind of doing really well, but then maybe just somebody in the background of a shot has switched off for that take. And they might have been doing great for like 8 takes prior, but on that one take they might have switched off, and then you watch the take, you think you got it, and then you look in the background and you see somebody just switched off for whatever reason, and then you're like, fuck, now we have to go again. The problem is with it is that we always shoot action as like jigsaw pieces, right? So every shot is super important to get right. So it's not like we would shoot a piece of coverage and then maybe just not use it and lop it off and then use something else from another angle. That shot is that shot. It serves the purpose of that sequence. It can't be replaced by something else. So for me, it was always that thing of like, you know, when you feel you've got it and then you start scrutinizing the background details and you're like, no, we have to go again. Those are the low moments, because then you're like, fuck, it took us 9 takes to get to here, and now we have to do another one, and then maybe another one, and it might take us another 8 or 9 takes to get it there. That was Indonesia. That was I don't do more than 5 or 6 takes on anything anymore now in the UK because you just don't have the time.
Back to the present. You're now working for Netflix. Do you have an agreement with Netflix?
I had an agreement with Netflix. That's now like run its course, because that was a pre-pandemic or during the pandemic. So that's now ran out, because it was for a set number of time, set amount of years. Havoc is one of the films that I've done for them, which is part of that. We are 95% done. We're not there yet. What happens is, so we're 95% done. We've got a really great film. It's really solid. It's strong. There's about a week's left of additional photography that needs to be done on it. That we were hoping to get done a while ago. But then the problem was, we shot that film in the middle of the pandemic, right? And then when the pandemic finished, you had this whole thing where, because so much of the industry stood down for 6 months, that it became almost like a bonanza town where everybody was making films all the time. And then, you get this big ensemble of a cast together for your project, and then all of a sudden you finish, they go off and do different projects, right? And there's some people over here, some people over there. To get them all back together again for that same week was really difficult. And then just as we were getting close to figuring out a date that would work, and then also figuring out the creative process of what the additional photography would be, then all of a sudden it's like the writer strike kicked in, and then the actor strike kicked in. So then we had to stand down. Obviously we were like in solidarity with the writers, in solidarity with the actors. And so like we are effectively in standby mode, waiting, and then once I know the writer strike is over now, but the actors is still waiting. So in solidarity with them, we're waiting, and once we get given the go-ahead and we can actually get back into work again, then we'll start working on it again. It'll probably take us another, I don't think we'll come out until maybe another year from now at the earliest, because we have to shoot a week's worth of production, then we'll have to edit that, then we'll have to do VFX work on that, then we'll have to do the color grade, and then the sound mixing. So all of that stuff needs to get done, and then it has to be packaged, and it has to be ready, and it has to be promoted, and then it gets released. So all of those things, you take a month for each one of those things, maybe more. That's why it gets kicked down the line a little further down. That's
super
why.
Last? Super last?
Yeah, go on.
I think. Do you think it will be released also in theaters? And I was working with Tom Hardy.
Okay. I would love for it to get released in theaters. I'd love for it to have a sort of theatrical life. Whether that's a case of being able to do promotional events like coming to festivals as beautiful as this one in order to kind of show it, that would be beautiful. I'd love to do that. But also if it had a limited run, that would be great as well. Because nothing beats that experience of watching a film in a room full of people. Like seeing that reaction last night to the raid was really special. So yeah, and I think that the same people that were getting a kick out of watching Eco punch a lot of people would equally get a kick out of seeing Tom Hardy shoot a lot of people. And which leads me nicely on to Tom. And Tom is just like an incredibly gifted, talented actor. He's like so fucking good in this film, like really good. And we had an amazing time kind of working on it together. And I think it's a side to him that people probably haven't seen before as well. So I'm really excited. He's fantastic in it, and the action sequences are insane.
And he did the stunts?
Yeah, a lot of it, yeah. He has a stunt double as well, Jacob, who's brilliant as well. But Tom does an awful lot himself as well. So it's that thing. I mean, every now and then you'll see, like, Tom's never done this. He's always been very upfront about the fact that he works with the double, and that the doubles do the stuff that he can't do, right? Then so he's very upfront and honest about that. I hate seeing actors who claim that they do all their own stuff themselves, because they're fucking lying. Because no production would ever let them do most of their stuff themselves.
Not outside Indonesia.
Except for Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise does do all the stuff himself. But you'll see some people, they'll claim to say, yeah, I did everything myself, and you're like, you didn't. That's why stunt doubles are there for. That's what they're there to do. They're to take the weight off and to provide that safety and security for the stuff that we would never let the talent do themselves.
Okay.
But yeah,
I think.
Lovely. There we go. Cool.